So a recent pickup I made on DVD here is a film called The Borderlands, which is the debut feature written and directed by Elliot Goldner. So The Borderlands is a found footage movie, and this is a really well trodden genre, and it's a bit of a tired genre. I mean, it started a couple of years ago with the Blair Witch Project, and people have found all sorts of reasons to be wearing sort of head cameras and documenting all facets of their lives while all sorts of horrific happenings are going on around them. So in relation to this movie, we have three people. We have Deacon, who's played by UK comedian actor Gordon Kennedy, and he's a guy who goes around and he debunks ghost stories and haunted houses and poltergeists and things like that. We have Gray, who's an IT guy. He's a bit boisterous, he's a bit loud, he's a skeptic, but he provides some of the humour in the film. And we have Father Amadon then, who is the Vatican sponsored, I suppose, priest or exorcist, who comes along. He's very straight-laced and he's his own way of doing things, and he likes to think that he's actually running the show. So they're called to rural southwest England. There's a church there. It's very old, it's very rural. I'm not really sure why anybody would have gone there because it's very run down. But there's a local priest there. He's called Father Krillick, and he has originally called them in. They initially kind of believe that he's responsible for the disturbances in order to kind of promote, I suppose, kind of, you know, and promote the church and get some sort of, you know, people coming to it, because it is in a very out of the way location. But as things go on, as the tests ensue with found footage and with sound and stuff like that, all the kind of recordings that they do, we find that there is actually something going on, and it's not the priest, although we do find that the priest is going somewhat mad or being driven mad. The town itself that they're in, there's an overriding sort of, I suppose, oppressive air. There's teenagers hanging around and everything is quite dangerous. There's a lot of the locals don't really want them there, so there's something quite oppressive in the air. So the more and more, I suppose, research that Deacon in particular does with Gray, they find out that there is a history of paranormal activity. There's a history of deaths, mysterious deaths, and it turns out that the church was actually built on a site which was originally used by pagan worshippers many years ago, and they worshipped you know, some entity who, I suppose, kind of you can kind of see seems to be dwelling in some capacity, in the spiritual capacity or whatever, in the location, and this is breathing the oppressive atmosphere. So I actually really liked The Borderlands. Now, to a point, I do think they've tried to do some stuff fresh and original to the found footage genre, but it is a very tried and tested, I suppose, kind of, you know, tried and tested genre. What you have here is a thing which is kind of hard to believe, is that, you know, people are documenting every facet of what's going on. They've always, no matter how much of a panic they're in, they always have time to strap on a head cam or to make sure their batteries are charged, etc. And this kind of builds into the climax of the film. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but you do kind of wonder, when with all the panic going on, etc., how come they've always kind of, you know, thought to put these on. So there's aspects of this which are kind of a little hard to believe. I suppose kind of from what we see, the footage that, you know, represents kind of the film is footage that seems to have been, although we're not told, it seems to have been found after the events of what's actually depicted in the movie. The film itself is filmed quite well. There's beautiful shots of rural England. One of the producers on this actually works with the English director Ben Wheatley, who you might know from films like Kill List and Sightseers. Kill List and Sightseers are much better films. This guy now, Elliot Goldner, it's his first movie, and for his first movie it's actually quite accomplished and it's very well. It's directed quite well. I just think the story fails in a number of aspects, and for me, the found footage kind of thing, you need something really fresh and original to kind of, you know, do that, because we had Paranormal 48 or Paranormal Activity 48 at this point, and, you know, it's pretty well worn and well trodden. So we need something fresh and original. He has tried to do that. I don't think he succeeds on every level, but I do think it's a worthwhile movie. This is going to turn into a bit of a cult movie. It's something which I could see being screened at a lot of horror festivals and things like that. I would be giving The Borderlands 6 out of 10. It's very enjoyable. There's nothing particularly original about this. There's some very good direction in it. The acting is good. I particularly like Gordon Kennedy's performance as Deacon, the sort of hard-drinking, hard-living, you know, debunker of ghost stories. So yeah, 6 out of 10. worthwhile checking out. There's better horror movies out there, but it's certainly it's an interesting take on the found footage genre. As always, if you like this review or you want to leave a comment below, please do. Otherwise, please do subscribe, and I'll check you next time. Take care.